I said right at the start of the investigation the rough sex defence was my main concern, and they just brushed it aside.
When I first reported it, they sent a uniformed officer round and asked if I liked rough sex. Am I into BDSM?
It still seems unreal when I think he strangled me. He wanted to take the oxygen, the breath out of my body. Like, that is one of the most sinister things that you can do to any other humans.
Government are set to outlaw the rough sex defence by adding a new clause to its domestic abuse bill, but for some women, their cases never even made it to court. Like Lucy, who is 23 years old, after leaving an abusive relationship, she reported the rape she'd been subjected to by her ex-partner. Lucy is not her real name, and her words are spoken by an actor.
Prior to him, I've never had rough sex. It's not something I'm into myself. I don't like it. It was more I was doing it for him. The second time we've ever had sex, he literally choked me until I was about to pass out. And from then, it got progressively more and more aggressive. I've had so many screenshots of him saying, "I'm going to rape you if you're not good to me," and stuff like that. I didn't really do anything about it, just because there was always a threat of if I did tell anyone or if I did anything to upset him, I knew he could hurt me. The night of the rape, we'd had an argument because I commented on a guy's Instagram post. He got really like, "Oh, you must not love me if you're thinking about other guys." He wanted to have sex for 4 or 5 hours straight, like a punishment.
Lucy says what followed was a vicious rape, filmed by her ex-boyfriend.
In the video from that night, I'm crying. I'm saying, "I can't do this. I don't want to do this. It's hurting." You can hear him saying, "You need to do this before I get angry with you. Just do it." I'm literally screaming. I'm crying. I'm pulling away. And then he hits me really hard. The police started scrolling through the messages. The police said that in the other videos on my phone, you could see that we had consensual rough sex before, and so my ex wouldn't have known that I didn't want it that time. I said right at the start of the investigation the rough sex defence was my main concern, and they just brushed it aside. Then to say it was the reason they are no further actioning my rape case after I've had this male police officer look at that video and multiple others of me having sex. I just don't understand how the police can look at a video like that and decide that it's not rape.
Lucy wants the government to ensure her case and others like it are reviewed by the police and CPS. Helping victims to do this is human rights lawyer Anna Mazzola from the Centre for Women's Justice.
I think there is certainly mileage in looking at all of the cases where the CPS or police have decided not to prosecute on the basis that a defendant might claim the rough sex defence. If they have interviewed the perpetrator and if various other factors are in place, then it's open to the victim or survivor to bring a victim's right to review. And that's often where we get involved. We do think there are general problems about the way the victim's right to review system is operating, because certainly for the police scheme, it's police reviewing police, and that often results generally in the original decision being upheld.
Do you think the government should be extending this period and ordering CPS and police to review cases where this has happened?
I think it would be very helpful if a review was ordered, or at least, it was made clear that where these cases are coming to light, they should be investigated, even if that 3-month deadline has passed.
Shortly after being picked up for a first date by a guy she met on a dating app, Kat, who is 24 years old, woke up disorientated and confused in his car.
He said that he was going to take me out for a date. Obviously, we'd been kind of flirting and talking. We never made it to like a restaurant. We were kind of, I guess, like we were fooling around in the car. It escalated beyond being like fun and sexy quite quickly. He put his hands on my throat. He'd had his hands around my throat for between 5 and 10 minutes after I passed out, which, if you know much about the human body, like I should have died. At very least, I should have had brain damage. The reason he did it for that long was to keep me unconscious so that he could assault me in other ways. He said that my body had gone completely limp and it went really quiet, and he was about to dump my body in a car park and leave the country, which sounds like a joke. I'm saying it, but that was his genuine response.
Had what you'd read and heard about the rough sex defence affected your decision to not report what happened?
I haven't got the law involved with this because it doesn't seem, I know it wouldn't go anywhere, and I know that it would re-trigger me to have to prove something traumatic happened, because it's like, how do you prove that it was just rough play, that like went a little bit too far, oops, rather than like a serious like physical or sexual assault.
Labour's Harriet Harman is one of the MPs who sponsored the bill.
I think this will have implications for the Crown Prosecution Service, and I'm seeking a meeting with the Director of Public Prosecutions who runs the Crown Prosecution Service, because they'll need to issue new guidance about cases going forward, and yes, reviewing past cases. I think that they should look back. There's enough evidence of cases where they have taken as read the rough sex gone wrong defence and therefore not prosecuted. And, you know, rape is such a serious crime, such a violation of a woman, both physically and mentally. It is important that offenders are brought to justice. And I think it sends a terrible message as well, because it kind of gives the impression that you can rape a woman and get away with it. And that must not be allowed to happen. So I think that a serious review of those cases that raise these issues would be very important to do.
How much more could I possibly need? What else? I've literally had a message from him saying, I've raped you. I don't know what else you could need to try and get it to CPS.
Hannah Price, BBC News.